What is up, EOP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EOP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And we have a lot to cover with you tonight. We're going to be talking Eagles going 3-0. Sorry, guys. I forgot to. We're going to talk about the Eagles going 3-0.
Pretty faces.
There we go. We're going to talk about the Eagles going 3-0. And we're going to talk about the Phillies still kind of limping into the playoffs, possibly. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. And I know the Phillies are on right now, so you're going to be tuned into your TV. So mute the TV, put us on the iPhone or the iPad or the whatever phone you're using, and chat along. And we're going to talk to you because we're going to touch on the Eagles Commanders walloping, I guess is a good way of putting it, Joe.
I'm just going to say it's a straight old-fashioned ass kicking.
All right, I'll go with that. I like a good old straight ass kicking. But remember, this show is brought to you by Dolan's Bar, PhillySportsTrips.com, and TheCherryInjuryLaw.com. David Cherry. We'll get to those guys in a minute. So, Joe, we and you were actually in the stands.
We were.
Speaking of Philly Sports Trips, we went down on the bus. We were there early in the morning. And just kudos to those guys. Like, I was just
unreal.
I mean, I get to be one of the bus managers. Just yelling at people all day. I'm good at that. But
you did a great job.
Yeah,
you really did.
But it was just the sea of people we saw there. Like, we kept talking about it for the last how many months? 1,000 plus people, 1,000 plus people. And, in the back of our heads, we said, maybe 800 if they're lucky. They're reaching for the stars, but maybe they'll grab the moon on the way. No. They surpassed that. They surpassed the whole thing.
They kicked the shit out of that number.
Yeah, I mean, they literally had a whole section in a clearing in a parking lot to themselves.
Yeah.
And we saw some of the competitors down there. They had little pieces of grass. They had sections of the parking lot, but they had a whole section by themselves. Like, we were on our island on our own, but we were not by ourselves. We were with 1,200 strong. The food was phenomenal. The bartenders were great. All the entertainment was great. The DJ was great. We had a great time. Friends, family, both our wives got to go. It was just a great time.
It was, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. It was more than I was expecting. Like, because I thought it was going to be like, all right, Miller Lite, Bud Light, and a seltzer or something. Like, we get there, and there are just bartenders lined up throughout the whole entrance. I mean, they had lager, Miller Lite, Coors Light, an IPA, Bloody Marys, Liquid Death there. Like, they had everything that you could have imagined to drink there.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal what they pulled out.
And the way they set up, like, instead of one big line of food, they had like 4 lines broken down of the same food.
The food management was amazing.
Didn't wait in, like 1,200 people. You didn't wait in line for too long. You didn't wait. Food didn't run out. It was you had a ton of food. The drinks were a plenty. You didn't have to worry about having money to tip the bartenders. They had a smart thing where you just took the Venmo picture and throw them a tip that way. Right. I tipped my girls real quick in the beginning, and then they're like, every time I came up, the beer was in their hand. So
they had a VIP section there, a yards bar, VIP section that Hollis Thomas was hanging out in.
Yeah,
Jello shots going around.
It was just a great time all around, and then we got into the stadium. So if you've never been to FedEx Field, it's an older stadium.
Yeah,
it's set up like a moron set it up because Dan Snyder did set it up. We'll get into that part later. I did get into an argument with one of the concession guys. That's a different story for a later moment in the show. But ultimately, we got in our seats. We felt bad. These two older couples was like surrounded by us.
I really felt bad for these two.
And I had to like not yell at my wife, but like she was sitting right behind her and she was feeling good. And she and the girl in front of her, who was right next to the couple, were like hugging each other. Every good thing happened, which a lot of good things happened. And she probably knocked her around a couple times. It was pure accident.
Purely accidental.
The lady was a total.
I was sitting right there. I saw it all.
And the lady was a total bitch. At first, I felt bad. I said to her, listen, I told my wife, put your little purse down underneath the chair. And my wife went there and I kind of whispered in the ear and said, I'm really sorry. If I hit you, I really didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I'm a really nice person.
Before they showed up a little later into the game, a little later in the first quarter. And before they sat down, I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah.
And she like looked at me like, what are you talking about?
She didn't want to be there from the get. Like, no. They walked down those steps and like.
And I wasn't like trying to be a jerk, like, oh, like, hey, like, sorry, we're gonna be dickheads, blah blah blah. No. Like, no, I knew what was gonna happen. Like, they were gonna get annoyed by all of us Eagles fans around. So hey, I'm sorry for us cheering. That's
Listen,
basically what I was saying.
if we went to a Phillies Mets game and we were in that
Right.
section with nothing but, and we were the two guys in the middle wearing red, and everybody around
Yeah.
us, because that's the way it was.
Her husband left her too for like 20 minutes to
Well,
get a bottle of
I'm
water.
surprised he didn't leave her permanently. I would have left her to the dogs.
She was nice.
No, she was not. She was a see you next
Uh,
Tuesday.
well,
I'm going to throw that out there.
I can't say that I blame her in this.
Well,
situation.
here's my thing is, and that's how and I agree with you to a point, but that's on you and your fans.
Sure.
You made that possible. Just like we didn't blame New York for coming down to us.
True.
We blamed Phillies fans and
absolutely
for not being in there and filling that stadium
Yeah.
up and keeping them out. So kudos to Eagles fans, because there was 1,200 of us, but there's plenty other ones from all over the place.
Yeah. The next day, I read it. I read an article. I think it was the Philly Voice,
Mm.
and it did have a little feature of Philly sports trips in there, and it said that everybody in attendance, like the people who were like trying to like figure out the percentage of Eagles fans to Redskins fans, they said it was 65% Eagles fans to 35 Redskins fans.
I said,
and they looked it.
I said 70-30 too. So right in that realm. I mean, it's kind of hard to see because when there's nobody in their seat, the seats are red. So if
Sure,
you're kind of going by the color, like it's hard to see. But yeah, no, it was large amount of Eagles fan, unreasonable amount of Dallas fans. Just gonna throw that out there.
there was an amount, yeah.
But it's just from start to finish. Even when they started off and then nobody scored. It just felt like that was our game the whole time. It was just a matter of time. Once we broke the dam or broke the seal or whatever you want to call it, Eagles score. It was all downhill for the Commanders and all uphill for the Birds. Once again, if you look at the numbers, Jalen Hurts, man, he spread the ball around, 3 touchdowns, 3 different people. Both Devontae Smith, Goddard, and Brown, all the guys that you want to see getting action.
Absolutely.
Devontae Smith, though, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 169 yards, 21.1 average. 45 was the longest one with 1 TD. I mean, we all were worried about it. Like, is he going to get no love? Who you saw in Detroit and a little bit in when we played Minnesota. Well, it just, I mean, here's my thing is, and Joe, you were the first on the train. You bought the tickets first. Right now, I am stepping up on the platform.
You got it.
There's no reason not to.
There's 2 people in the running for MVP right now. It's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And it is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. The mobile quarterbacks who usually don't get that kind of love. But that's my point is, like, I keep telling you about check boxes. He's got to click some check boxes for me.
Sure.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Here's
your check box. Well, we all know he had the maturity. He's had that since day one, since he took the helm from Carson Wentz in that New Orleans Saints game. And then here we go again. He has been at 23 years old, a consummate professional the whole time. We saw in the Minnesota game when he could have been this young buck, just look at me. And he said, no, I still had a ton of work. So box was checked on that, but continues to be checked. So we'll give him that. My check boxes were what? Can he not be one dimensional? Can he sling the ball? Check. He's got short passes, long passes, running, throwing while on the run.
5 or 6 passes of over 30 yards plus in that game on Sunday.
Yep.
The dude can't throw a long ball though, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is, I hate when people says he can't throw a long ball. He is not known for throwing the long ball and has yet to show it. And can he do it on the NFL level? People just automatically, it's like you can't be in the middle anymore. You're either no, you suck, or you're the greatest. Like, people don't know how to find this even ground when you break it down.
People just make things up to be like, oh, well, he hasn't done this yet. It's like, oh, well, has he thrown a 73-yard pass yet down the seam to Quez Watkins? No, he hasn't done that yet. Oh, guess what? He sucks at.
Yeah.
Like, it's just random things that people make up. Come on, like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Devontae Smith, breakout game, really showing his oomph on this team, and finally, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it.
And what did I say? The QB smarts, the being able to look to break a defense down, knowing when to run, knowing when to throw, being able to check down, check. So far, and if you think about it, okay, the Detroit game, that's kind of like preseason. There's a lot of rust. They haven't really played much. I'll take that for what it was. The Minnesota game, everybody was so nervous because of that Detroit game. Maybe he's not that good. Maybe this team isn't as good as we thought they were. Minnesota's going to romp us. Wrong again, guys.
Part of me felt that way.
We all listen. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was, but I still had them. I think I had them about a 7 to 10 point.
Every game so far that I have thought was going to be close has not been. That first game against the Lions, I was like, nah, they're going to win by double digits, and of course they didn't. And the past two, I was like, you know what, I could see them being a little bit tougher of a game, and us, sitting on the edge of our seats closer into the fourth quarter, and that's just not the way that it's happened. The Eagles are the only team in the NFL to average 24 points in the first half of all three games.
Yep.
It's unheard. They're 3-0 for the first time in almost a decade.
So I want to bring something to real quick. Since you mentioned this, and this is kind of goes into it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Dolan's Bar, the Most Delco Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue. I believe this weekend Hollis Thomas will be there. If you want to hang out with Tank, I know for a fact that Wolf Superior Sandwiches will be there with their great food, and his wings will be there, and it will just be a great time. As always, if you're in the Delaware County area and you're not going to the game or going to be around, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. And any other day of the week, go to Dolan's.
It's always.
Philly Sports Trips, we just said it. All the away games, all the home games available for you. Away games, as you know, either bus or flight. As we told you, it's not just the ticket. It's not just the transportation. It is the freaking experience. And we're telling you that from, we just experienced that experience ourselves. And you can experience just that tailgate alone right here at the Gatehouse in the Navy Yard, which will be this Sunday coming up. And don't forget, if you get yourself in trouble or injured at work, a car accident, personal injury, criminal law, David R. Cherry is your man. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 610-565-0300, the Cherry Firm. Tell Dave Cherry that EOP sent you. And guess what? The number again is 610-565-0300. And as we talk about the game day, we always have the Eagles Game Day Live with Painted Lines and Edge of Philly together. Starting with this time, we'll be on location at South House, 2535 13th Street, Philadelphia, PA, right around the corner, right down the street from the stadium. So if you're in the Philadelphia area, come on down, hang out with us. Great food, great times. Check it out. And I actually should have had this ready, but I'm going to tell you because Anthony, the owner, told me $10 Bud Light pitchers and $15 Bud Light buckets for you guys. So there will be specials for being there. Yep, can't beat it. And like I said, we'll be doing pre and post game live. And I believe Dibes will be in the house with us. So actually,
that's what I'm being
this is the first time in 3 months we're working with them that we're actually going to be in the same room outside of doing a stream or a Zoom. So, and speaking of the Painted Lines, so we've got over the last, since June, we've been working with them, June, July.
Yeah.
And one of the guys over there who is a big cog in the wheel is our boy Shane Haffer at half and half _TPL on Twitter. And he's always active on his Twitter. He breaks down every big play, defensive plays. He's on his game. He knows his stuff, and he's good. And you see it in his power rankings. You see it in his articles. You see it in his videos. Man has a full-time job, kids, the whole 9 yards, and he still does it. Well, now will be joining. He's still working with us in the Painted Lines, but he also is working with Bleeding Green Nation. That's right. BLG is getting himself a good one, and he will be appearing on their weekly post-game show and midweek programming because nobody breaks it down like Shane, and here at EOP are just super thrilled for him. He's one of the best. I got to say that. In the few months I've worked with him, I can't say anything much nicer to him than that because he is that nice of a guy. And he does know his stuff. But back to the game in hand. So we're not going to spend too much time breaking down. We have done that already. You've seen it.
Well, I think there's a few things we need to go.
No. I'm saying we're going to talk about a little, but we will get in the Jacksonville game.
Oh yeah.
But Joe, go ahead and take it from there.
First off, our score predictions. I said 24 points. They scored 24 points. I said 17. They only scored 8.
Yeah.
The stupid safety, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess with that cool score comes a cool story. Apparently, the night before the game, Nick Sirianni played a Kobe Bryant hype video, what?
No, it just makes me laugh. Nick Sirianni
whatever. For whatever reason, he showed
Kobe Bryant hype video on demand. I'm ready to go, guys.
Right.
Just like his T-shirt.
And then the next day, the score is 24-8. the two numbers of the Black Mamba. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the sacks. I predicted 3. I believe you were right around 2.5. Ian was over or under 4.5, and they totaled 9.
Yeah.
9 sacks on the day. BG, defensive player of the week with 2.5 sacks, and the defense showed out. I understand it's Carson Wentz, and he creates his own mishaps, but they showed the F out this week.
We always say, Joe, not to sound repetitive, but good teams beat bad teams, and they beat them good. And that's what you're supposed to do. And even, let's say 3 or 4 of them were Carson Wentz kind of driven ones. It's still 5 sacks.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't suck. I mean, and that's my thing, is that kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk to you about. A lot of people trying to find some sort of negative spin on the Eagles right now is that, well, they don't score in the second half.
They don't need to.
I don't think that's my point. It's not like they're up 3 scores.
Right.
So they're not going to do anything big. They're winding the clock down. They're running the ball. They're pounding the ball. So maybe they're not getting the yardage they need to keep, to get the touchdown or whatever. Maybe Sirianni could take a couple extra field goals versus, trying to go for 4th down.
Yeah.
That could be a little bit. But other than that, they don't need to. And they're trying to keep away from the pick sixes and the big game-turning, momentum-changing plays. So I'm not worried about that. Now, we saw in Detroit, they scored in the second half when they had to.
Mm-hmm.
And with this game coming up, Jacksonville's a much better team than we know. We thought we knew coming into it. Doug Peterson has worked with a lot of the big players on this team, so he knows them intimately. So who would know? Like, he's going to go after Jalen Hurts' weaknesses that he knew. Now, granted, he could have grown out of a lot of them since that time, but he's still going to do it. But, I mean, Washington tried to do that. I mean, if you look at it, the rushing yards really weren't anything to write home about. 30 attempts total, 72 yards total. That's 2.4 yards per carry. So, not one rushing TD. The longest one, I believe, was 13, and that was Miles Sanders. So, I mean, that's what happened. They said, "Oh, let's take away the running game," because that's what we were last year. And they put it in the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands, and he said, "That's your problem." Right. Now, three different receivers got 3 different touchdowns. And even to the point that Devontae Smith jumped so far up in the air and he crashed down, I thought he hurt his back. He could knock the wind out of himself.
And I am I wrong in saying that the offensive line is not firing on all cylinders right now? That there is maybe not a need, but there should be. We should see some improvement as the weeks are going. I mean, they are. I mean, our key cogs are healthy and there, but there is some rotational, in and out. You know what I mean? Like Dickerson didn't play.
Well, he played.
Did he?
Played 84% of the snaps. He played. We saw more.
I just mean
more in the second half. He did.
Right.
But he was out of practice today due to his foot or ankle injury. So that is something to keep our eye on.
Yeah.
In the situation, will he play? Can Sua Opeta step in if he needs a week off? Like, is it what they need to do, or is it just soreness? Like, because of they haven't been playing a lot and they're just getting kind of like used to it.
They also haven't needed to really run and pound the ball the way that they did in the later half of the season last year. Look at look at what Hurts is doing with his arm. Like, he's spreading the ball around. He's getting these big chunk plays. They don't need to force the ball, just to force the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And
here's the other thing is, all Jalen Hurts can do is run. 9 rushing attempts for 20 yards.
Come on.
I mean, that's what he did. He didn't do a lot.
Yeah, and the second half of these games, like, do I think that they could or should still be aggressive and
I'd like to see it?
Right.
Sure.
Not take their foot off the pedal. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe play with a little bit more urgency if you are getting these consecutive 3 and outs. And maybe there is just like some brain farts going on. Again, that's safety. It was, why is he giving the ball to Boston Scott right there? Like, that to me is a brain fart. That to me is a bad play call. Exactly.
If you're going to run that,
you need a bruiser there.
If you're going to run that, you need your LeGarrette Blount in there. That's what you need.
Yeah, not Boston Scott, who's 4'3" and 98 pounds. I know I'm exaggerating, but I mean, he's not that small of a guy. Yes, he's a small bowling ball, but he's not gonna like just. I'd rather see Hurts just run out. You know, I don't give it to Boston Scott in that situation.
Well, in that situation, I definitely would have. Here's my thing is, and this is once again, I'm not the coach, but if you look at the weaknesses on paper for the Commanders, one of the things was the middle.
Yeah.
Was the linebacking core with Chase Young being out and all this stuff. That middle was wide open. Isn't that a perfect place to throw a little quick pass, maybe a quick slant to Dallas Goedert, who was on fire anyway that game?
Right. Oh my God!
He was 4 for 3. I mean, 3 for 4. So I mean, obviously he knew what he was doing. They had a good connection there. Wouldn't that just be then that gives you a cushion? Then you can pound the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't pound the ball literally when you have your line. You're on the 1 yard line. That way,
you know. Yeah. Hurts put up 300 plus. 169 of it went to Smith. 85 of it went to AJ Brown, and the rest of it felt like it went to Dallas Goedert. So if you're in a tough situation like that and you need some yards, even to give yourself some room to punt the ball, why are you not trusting one of these three and putting the ball in their hands?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the time where you're like, we don't want you to run the ball.
Right.
Toss it out, sweep it out. Zach Pascal type play. That
was a boneheaded play too.
Yeah.
What are they doing with that?
I don't get it.
That's what I mean. Sometimes with the team being up by X amount of points,
sometimes they try things too.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. But when they don't work, you would think that, okay, let's put that back on the burner. You're like, we're not going to try that again. And then they come out and they try something else. So like, why aren't we just continuing with what works? Yeah. Why are we trying to fix what isn't broken?
Mm-hmm. True. And like I said, I wonder part of it's I'm trying to test the waters. Since we're up 3 scores, we can try this run.
Lesser competition, maybe they are just throwing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of where you get the real life practicing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like the live practice or the joint practices we saw in the preseason. But ultimately, here's a funny story about. So we're leaving the stadium. And by the way, when you're leaving the stadium, you're actually walking through the corridors to get to the exit. It was echoing. It was deafening. Like people were screaming, and one Commanders fan comes up to me and screams in my face, "Oh, great! You won one game. One game. It's not the Super Bowl." I said, "No, bro. I hate to break it to you. You won one game. We won 3."
Right. And that's like somebody saying it's only week 3. Calm down.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we had this conversation in our chat. If your team's up 3-0 in 3 games, you're going to be excited.
And why shouldn't you?
And it's okay to have. I mean, at this point, you're one of the best teams in the NFC, if not in the league. I mean,
one of 2 teams who are undefeated right now.
Exactly. Even the Bills have a defeat on their, on their list here. So my point is, yes, it's okay for people to think the team is that good. I mean, Dallas fans can be up, can be 2-2 and think they've got the Super Bowl in hand. I mean, it is what it is. Any team is up 3-0, even against 3 good teams, bad teams. It doesn't matter. You should be excited.
Yeah.
So be excited. And for that Washington fan, there's that for you.
Well, what's funny is, yes, we have, and I don't want to jump right into this. I just want to make one quick point about this team. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up, and yes, they look like a much improved team. They're 2-1, and now people are saying because they can't give the Eagles any credit. Okay, guys, well the cakewalk is over. Well, before the season, you looked at week 4, you looked at the Jaguars as, a cakewalk. So what? Just because the Eagles are playing better than, you want to, then all of a sudden the Jacksonville Jaguars are a Super Bowl contender and the cakewalk is over? Again, there's people out there reaching and grabbing for ridiculous stuff, not to give the Eagles the credit that is well deserved. Pound sand.
Pound it. And let's touch on that for a second. Let's talk about this matchup this week. So yes, this matchup is a lot better than anybody expected coming into this season. Yeah. I mean, if you were going to go like in the first 5 games, you're going to lose a game. I don't think the Jacksonville game, unless you're like, oh, this is a trap game, was on your radar as a loss. But I mean, one thing that goes to show is that Doug Peterson is undoing what Urban Meyer has done to this team, especially the psyche
night and day with
of
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Like
it's night and day.
I mean, here's another guy that, as a team, as Jacksonville, as the guards start to change, like as Tom Brady's and Aaron Rodgers start to age themselves out, and the new guard comes in, Jalen Hurts is making his plea for top 10 quarterback supremacy, and now Trevor Lawrence. I mean, once again, it's only 3 games. but it's still 3 games where he looks like and Joe, how many times that 3rd year makes a big difference for people?
Oh my God. Yeah.
We say it all the
Again,
time.
night and day.
Yeah. And having a good comparable coach is a big difference. A lot of conversation was had like, was Doug Peterson unceremoniously not fired, but did he, like, they kind of come to agreement to leave? I think it was the best for both worlds, in a sense. I think Doug had his way in his head and he wasn't willing to change. And not saying he couldn't work with Jalen Hurts, but I just think it was good for him to move on at that time. He wasn't
Yeah.
happy. You knew he wasn't happy with the organization.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
2020 season showed you.
And he shouldn't have been, to be honest with you.
No, he shouldn't have been. And even if I'm
He
Carson
fell on
Wentz,
the sword for his coaching staff, and I commend him for doing that.
yeah, and then he still kept trying to, keep them on here, even though they didn't want him here.
Yeah.
And even if I'm Carson Wentz, I'm looking, I'm like, oh, now we have AJ Browns and Devontae Smith. We're not taking Jalen Reagor when
Right.
and picking up my next quarterback. And obviously, I'm not defending Carson Wentz. I thought he was always a really good quarterback, and he is, but his mental, his personality deficits is what really holds him back. I don't have to make any changes, trying to play a hero ball all the time. It shows you that's what cost him. He continues to cost him the game.
It just seems to me like he is always where it's like, okay, my shit don't stink. My way is the right way. I don't have like there's reports out there now that when Carson was with the Eagles, he would change the play in the huddle. I mean, that to me
probably frustrated Doug.
Absolutely. That to me is just a big old no. And I can't say that I've seen any type of change, whether he was with Indy last year or the Redskins now. Like the guy has never ever made the adjustment to his own psyche, style of play, or ego.
Yeah, I mean, here's where the ego comes in from last year. He had a really good season up until the last part of the season, which really just killed them, kind of bit them in the ass. Part of it was the whole vaccination thing where you had to miss the game. And the other part of it was they
beat Jacksonville when you're in the playoffs.
Well, the problem is they haven't beat Jacksonville in how many years before Carson was there?
Right.
You know what I mean? I think what was it? It was like 6 times in a row or something they've lost. So that's 3 years at least.
Yeah.
So 3 years. He was only there the 1 year. One thing is the owner had a bad taste in the mouth with him.
It seemed like the owner just had it out for him from the beginning.
And I think the owner is pressing. This is how I think about it. I've almost likened it to the Atlanta Falcons after they lost to Tom Brady in that huge deficit in the Super Bowl. And they always were pressing, and it just every time they pressed, they kind of got worse instead of better. And you think they keep thinking they're one good quarterback away from being a good contender. And Matt Ryan's the guy. Like, no offense, but Matt Ryan's not the guy. I wouldn't say Carson Wentz was, but I can't see them being much worse or better. I can only see them being better with Carson at the helm.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that would be another year under that system, working with a coach who knows him and working with guys he knows now. So that's his problem now and their problem. And I'm not here, like I said, I'm not here to defend Carson. But it's interesting how that whole thing worked out. But because of Carson left, it's probably why we have, I wonder now, looking back at things with Howie. I mean, we've all said Howie's made drastic changes.
Yeah.
The whole fire Howie thing made sense in 2020. Made sense in a little bit in 2019. He wasn't really, they were bargain basement shopping. They were making contracts with guys that were just keeping us from having any really good players. He was trying to pick guys that were not top tier wide receivers in the first round when he could probably got Jalen Reagor in the second round if he wanted to.
Right.
So the whole fire Howie thing at that time, and I was one of the guys pounding my chest, we're not going to win as long as Howie's picking these guys. So maybe,
unfortunately, some people are still like that for whatever reason.
Hey, listen, and there's a lot of people, and I know you're talking about. I'll say it right now, Matty B. He sits there and pounds his chest about it all the time. Listening to radio all day long, there's plenty of people out there who still do not like Howie Roseman and think he's overrated. Because here's my thing is, you're stuck with Howie. There's no choice in it. You're stuck with him.
You got a 3-year extension. Yeah, of course.
Just like if you don't like Jalen Hurts, he's still your quarterback. It is what it is. But at least he made the adjustments that he had to make.
Absolutely.
So at least you have to give the guy credit where credit's due. I mean, even if you work with somebody who just sucks at his job and you complain to your boss, fire this guy, and they talk to him. They pull him into the office. Say, listen, we're going to fire your ass unless you make the adjustments and start doing your job much better. But if they start doing the job much better and it works for you, who cares?
Right.
At that point, that's where I come in on that situation. Like, I was pounding my chest as well, but he made the adjustments. He looks better. He even said, look at the AJ Brown thing was him saying, I don't know how to pick a good wide receiver. I don't understand. The Devontae Smith thing was, I picked the Heisman winning trophy guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, he went for the easy
I got a little bit more into the AJ Brown trade than him just, admitting defeat. Yeah, I think, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, number one, the relationship off the field. Number two, I'm saying training. Number three, Jalen Hurts going to Howie and saying, trade for this guy.
No, I'm saying, like, for him to go, instead of taking a first-round pick, getting another wide receiver that is a crapshoot.
Right.
I'm going to go get a tried and true top-tier wide receiver.
Proven commodity.
That's what I'm saying.
Top
That's
fiver.
what he did with that.
Absolutely.
Outside of the connection between him and Jalen Hurts, he also, let's think about it. There was blood in the water. AJ Brown wasn't happy in Tennessee.
They were about to leave and play baseball.
Yeah, and they weren't going to pay him what he wanted to get paid. So we were willing to bring him in with his good friend, like you said, pay him, and we got a top-tier wide receiver with a first-round pick.
Yeah.
If they had to give up like 2 first-round picks or more, then okay, I could see people arguing, but they really didn't give up
first
much.
and a third.
Yeah, they didn't give up much for it. And they have plenty of picks to go with still to this day.
Right. And they say pressure makes diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened, years ago with the Rieger pick and whatever happened with Carson Wentz and the big money they gave him and then drafting Jalen, the pressure was on Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
And now look at this team. He produced a gem.
Yeah. No, and that's my thing is he is showing up, and he's done everything so far that he could do except for getting that big back that I've been asking for. Maybe that'll be a Christmas present. I don't know.
Well, what's wild is, and we talk about Doug being in Jacksonville and just how he fell ass backwards into this treasure chest. I mean, think of it. Doug Peterson, number one, beautiful weather. Number two, making lots of money. He gets a franchise quarterback right off the bat. He goes in with the first overall pick of the draft this past season. He has a big backfield, and James Robinson, who is having a resurging career. 18's there. And Christian Kirk.
18 was going to be the
guy.
Absolutely. Robinson's coming in there.
Christian Kirk, he's looking like the number one that he was signed to be.
We both sat there and said Christian Kirk was going to be, he's overpaid. Like
Absolutely.
They've way overpaid for him. I don't know. I think they're getting what he paid for at this point.
I don't think there's ever been a coach who has landed a more perfect situation, spot for him in his career. They did the most
in the
He was out of the league for 1 year. Mm. He won a super year the 2 years prior to that. And then he comes back to this everybody's dream list of what to have and grab as a new head coach.
Yeah, and that's my thing is, like, this team made a complete metamorphosis, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Absolutely.
From 1 year to the other. I mean, they had to get rid of their one coach barely in 1 year, who was a complete knucklehead. I mean, just complete knucklehead. You bring in,
there were times where he wouldn't even fly back to Jacksonville.
No, that's why
when he's on the road.
He got in trouble.
Yeah, because he would go to his own restaurant when they were in Ohio.
Yeah, and that's when he got in trouble taking pictures, grabbing boobs or whatever the hell he was doing. But I mean, what's more perfect for Trevor Lawrence, a guy who's worked with young quarterbacks, who was a quarterback himself, who has a ring to prove the fact he knows how to win, who gets guys like that. Okay, this guy knows how to win. I mean, we know one thing Doug could do is he could rally the troops. He can get you to believe. Maybe at times we would question some of his play calling or his ability to balance play calling as well as being a head coach. Because that's where I give Nick Sirianni a lot of kudos, I guess would be a good way of putting it, because it didn't take him 3 years to sit there and go, all right, maybe I shouldn't do the play calling. And Shane Steichen has, right now, done a great job.
Look what's going on right now.
11-3 or something like that.
Yeah, 11-3 now. Yeah,
so,
since he's taken over.
So he said that, and now he can do this like bird's eye view of the entire team.
He does that in this season. You got a first round bye, baby.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, now as a head coach, Nick Sirianni has that bird's eye view. Gannon has definitely done a 180 so far. Let's see how he does this week with a very offensive powered team from all different areas. So now looking at this matchup, I mean,
Real quick, question.
Shoot.
Obviously, week 3, we're in DC. Carson,
Sure.
booed, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
On their turf and the history.
Shoot. Yeah.
Doug Peterson coming in here.
Sure.
Got to be cheered, right?
Oh,
I got to get the standing ovation.
I think there should be like a little video played on.
There's got to be, something.
Yeah, I
mean, even not a video, just an acknowledgement of him on the big jump.
Yeah, like a graphic of some sort. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, listen, the way it ended it wasn't the way you would want to go out of a team that you literally just won a Super Bowl just a few years prior. And
it seemed like it worked out best for both sides, though.
Yeah, there was no ill will with us. We all won. I mean, none of us thought Doug Peterson was going to go.
It was shocking.
Yeah, none of us thought Doug Peterson would go, unless because that was Carson Wentz. Like, if I'm going to stick around, I want Doug gone.
It's either me or him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that didn't happen.
No, both of them were gone.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's what the Eagles did. They got, because Doug went first.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they said, listen, if you don't change the way we want you, Carson's going to leave, and we need Carson to stick around. And then Carson said, I'm leaving anyway.
Yeah.
The fact that you have Jalen Hurts still on this team, I'm leaving. And once again, I can't 100% blame Carson for wanting to leave. People get like all over him about that. I'm like I said, if you were sitting there and you had your possible replacement with you, you're like, yeah, I'm going to put my
I get it.
I'm going to go out and put my name on
I don't
my
agree
resume
with it,
out.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a little bit of a bitch move. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
But at the same time, if you, like I said, if you're at a company and somebody was kind of coming like, we're training you to take this guy, and there's no chance that they're going to keep both of you, and you're like, well, why? Why? I thought I was your man, and okay, yeah, you're going to put your feelers out. And let's be honest, he has the power as the quarterback. He had power and to do so, and that's where it was. But so now we're looking at this matchup. It's Sunday. It's 1:00. It's in South Philly. Jacksonville had to come up a little early due to the weather in Florida. Yes, Chris Lentz, we put it out there. Florida is dealing with some major hurricane issues down there. I have some family down there, in-laws. They all evacuated, thank God.
Good,
hopefully far enough away.
I know people who haven't.
I one person I know hasn't, and I'm not surprised he hasn't. But some people just go, it's just the way it is. And he lives in a trailer down there, so I haven't figured that one out yet. But we'll
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but my point is, I think if this is a very close matchup, I think on offense, 2 young up and coming quarterbacks definitely the best year of their career so far in the NFL. I believe on the wide receiver realm, we are above, but not by much. I mean, Christian Kirk's a good wide receiver, don't get me wrong. But we have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I think our wideouts are head and shoulders above Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and the tight ends, definitely we win that.
Oh my God, yeah.
We win that by far.
Absolutely.
The running back game, I kind of have to lean towards Jacksonville in this situation.
Too.
If you want to do it that way, damn it.
Yes.
They tied. They did. It was just a tie, right?
Well, here, all right. How about this? Is their backfield better because of their O-line, and this is what I'm talking about Jacksonville, because of their O-line, or are we just overvaluing James Robinson and ATN?
I don't think you're overvaluing them. I think they're very good backs. Offensive line makes a big deal, and I think that's one thing Doug would take away from the Eagles organization. He probably said, "Listen,
he knows all the
yeah." He would say, "Listen,
stories,
you want
stories, the trenches.
You want to know what won us a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
was the trenches." And starting with the O-line, so I'm sure that has to do something with it. Listen, I look at the Chargers game, the Chargers Jacksonville game. Kind of went back, watched a quick 7-minute replay of it. Let's listen. You have bad ribs on your quarterback. Bad ribs on any position, any player is tough. You can't laugh at a joke without it hurting sometimes.
True.
So that's difficult. You have no Bosa. That's a big loss. You have another couple key players that are not in. So I'm not taking away their beating of San Diego, but San Diego isn't the powerhouse we thought they would be at this point in time.
True.
So taking that a little bit into it. I think
Herbert probably should not have even played. I mean, I think he had 12 total players on the injured list. And
yeah. I mean, who's their backup again?
Ison.
Yeah, I don't even know.
The guy I actually wanted the Eagles to draft. I think he was I think he was Carson's backup at North Dakota State, whatever the hell it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't.
That's funny.
His last name is Ison. or Eisen. I can't think of his first name though.
But with that being said, I think when you look QB to QB, it's not too far off. But I kind of think Jalen has the upper
Jalen
hand.
has it.
I think he's hot right now. There's still a new team to him, still a new coach, still a lot of new pieces. So there's that. They seem like they're cooking. I think coming up here early gets them a little off their normal rhythm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way of putting it. By the way, Aaron Judge hit his 61st home run. If you care,
A little bit.
Yep. I'll talk about that when we get to the Phillies talk. But I when it comes to defense, they have some good defensive players. Their first round pick in Devin Lloyd has really taken to the NFL pretty quickly. But I still think we have especially with the secondary. I think the secondary is going to handle Christian Kirk or a Jones.
That's my thing. Like Christian Kirk against our secondary, it's not going to be the performance he's had the past 3 weeks. Yeah. Our wideouts to the Jaguars secondary, Jaguars have a very weak secondary. That's where I think the biggest difference is I think AJ and Goddard and Devontae, they're going to eat. They're going to eat on this secondary. That's going to be the difference maker to me.
Yeah. And the other thing is one thing I keep my eye on is the injury. Slay, he was out. I think he had a little. He's
out of practice. Yeah,
I believe his was a personal reason though, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh, okay. I just read that he was out.
I forget which one of the reasons were, but I have it right here. I have it updated. But accordingly, oh no, that was AJ Brown was out personal. Didn't he? Somebody was asking, "Do you have a kid or something?" I don't know about that one, but
I think he's welcoming a new kid.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he had the kid. I think they're expecting a new kid.
Okay. Landon Dickerson, of course, is the foot issue. A lot of resting on your defense and offensive line, especially with your older guys.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
Dickerson played that well on Sunday.
No, he definitely could see he was.
That's what I mean when I said like, was he really playing? Like, was he all there?
Yeah. I mean, he was on 84% of the snaps. Yes. Yeah. Opeta had the other 16.
Well, if he's dressed, you're going to play him.
The question is it just a lingering inflammation that's slowing him down, and they can, inject him, and it's not going to cause any further injury. If letting him rest for a week and you put Opeta in, that's what I would do. I mean, personally, I would do that. I would, when you're up 3-0, you have a little house money to play with. So, but like I said, I think
then you go into a divisional game, though. I mean, that's
and
I don't want them to look forward.
No. But as a coach,
who's to say they're not?
The coach should look forward and say, I would rather have him ready for a divisional game than this Jags game. But on the surface of it, we guess we could talk a little bit about predictions a little bit.
Sure.
But I still think the Eagles win. I don't know if I would say handedly, but not as handedly as they've been over the last couple of weeks.
If the game was in Jacksonville, do you think that they would still win?
Yes, but it might be a little bit tighter. I mean, what Jacksonville got? They have no fans.
True.
If this was in England, maybe they would have an upper hand. I'll give them that much. They always seem to play well in England.
Eagles won in England.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the owner of the Jags owns Wembley.
Yeah.
So
true.
It's kind of a home stadium to him too.
Absolutely. I think there was actual rumors of them moving out there.
Well, that was the thing is they were been trying to see if they could have an international team. I'm like, I don't know how that works.
Mexico, I can see.
I mean,
Canada. I guess not Canada.
Canada, you can. I mean,
I just mean because there's the Canadian Football League. I don't think that they would welcome
an
NFL team there.
Why not? Why wouldn't Toronto be happy or Montreal or one of the big cities right there on the edge?
No, you got a point.
Is that a home run?
Goddamn Phillies.
Do this every goddamn year.
Goddamn Phillies.
I mean, he was pitching well. He was only up to 60 pitches and then bang, 4-1. I mean, not to get into the conversation, but I mean, we are just faltering against a bad team this year.
Yeah.
We haven't won against
them again.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. But honestly, I think last time I saw Joe point spread 6.5.
I believe so, yeah.
I think you can still take the under at 6. I would say 21-27 Eagles.
You did it again. 21-27 Eagles.
Home team. I always do. That's why it comes up on the screen. I guess that's why my brain is programmed that
I'm
way.
saying it because I thought it was funny that when we were in DC,
Fred
you
was
said
breaking
it,
my
and Fred
balls.
was like, "Why do you keep doing that?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Damn, Alan's getting yelled at from 3 hours away."
No, it's just because that's the way it comes up on the screen when you look at him. It always goes away team, home team, and that's how I do it. I'm sorry, Fred.
Where are your concerns with the Eagles on defense? Only in this one area, and I know we're coming off a 9-sack win, 9-sack game. But are you worried about the edge rushers at all? There are some, snifflings out there that the Eagles could be possibly looking for some more edge help. D Ford has been thrown out there. He's 30 years old, so who knows if it's, it could be like a Chris Long type of signing. Come in for the season, help, see what happens. And Jamie Collins is available. He's 32. He's even 2 years older than
once again a Chris Long type situation.
Right. Another one. So, but again, 9 sacks. Like I think Josh Sweat is really going to make a mark going forward. By the way, I love his little move when he has a sack and he goes like this. He just like wipes the sweat off. I love that.
Like Lauro saying JPP.
That's right. I heard something about JPP as well. I can't think of how old he is. He's got to be in his 30s. 30, 31, 32. In fact, he might be like 33 or 34 for all I know. But where are you on the edge rushers? Do you think that they need some help going forward?
I don't want to say so much as help, but depth.
Okay.
That's what won us a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's why Chris Long was so important to us. He was a character, don't get me wrong.
He's awesome.
But guys like him stepped up and gave guys and kept guys like Brandon Graham fresh to the Super Bowl with the ability to cause that game-winning strip sack.
Sure.
He's 33, by the way.
Okay.
Wow. But so yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're just adding the fact of having depth, why not? I mean, if you have a situation where you have like a Ryan Kerrigan situation where he's just a non-factor, okay, well then he's
so wrong on him.
Yeah, well, it's like that whole like
I was so excited.
I think that happens a lot when you have a guy who's beat up on us over the years, and then you finally like, all right, he's on our team now. I mean, maybe the best bet was him not being on our team.
Yeah.
Maybe we were just paying him not to cause any disruption 2 games. I don't know.
Very possible.
But that's my point is if you bring in guys who are just like, say, JPP just turns into Ryan Kerrigan, who cares? Right. It's all about depth in my eyes. As long as he can do the job, because I think that's what they worry about. They worry about the guys are aged. We don't have any really youngsters on the defensive end situation that are going to be able to hold their own. So why not? I'm okay with it. If you're just bringing guys in and you're not subtracting anybody, why not?
Yeah.
It's a guy with
Would you trade for somebody?
Depends on what the trade value is. I mean, if you had maybe a guy just kind of like they did with AJ Brown, a disgruntled player who's
Nate Jerry's out there. I mean, they could sign him.
Oh God, Jesus, Joe, I just vomited in my mouth. So should we have gone over 4.5 sacks last week? Yeah, and we should have.
Yes, writing is on the wall.
Offense needs to step up and be more consistent. Do they? I mean,
second half.
Like I said, but that's my thing with the second half. If you're up 3+ scores, don't you just keeping the clock running and keep the big
smart coaches do.
I mean, listen, I know you're like, 42-0's even better padding, but it's also a momentum swing. It's demoralizing. I mean, outside of that last touchdown that they gave them, and of course the safety against Washington. I mean, they were almost going to shut them the hell out.
Yeah,
it took them for them to kind of like, all right, let them. I'd say they let them have it, but like kind of took the foot off the pedal a little bit.
I absolutely think that they did.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, like that's why I'm okay with it, Joe. I guess it's a simple way of saying it. Yeah, I mean, it's all about depth. And like I said, we saw that in 2017. That meant the world to us.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Long was no youngster. There's a lot of guys on that defensive end that weren't youngster, but they were a key factor. Was that
Michael
rotation?
Bennett wasn't
Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was a big, was he 2017?
That's what I can't remember.
It was the year before.
I'm almost positive he was.
Or no, it was the year after.
Was he the year after?
Because that's when we made the playoffs and Carson got knocked out. Literally got knocked out.
Was that the Jets game? Yeah, I was at that bitch.
No. I'm talking about
the Seattle game.
The Seattle game. Yeah.
Oh, Clowney, that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that now. I was at that game too.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. But yeah, I mean, if you're bringing depth in now, like the trade, once again, it's what's the trade worth? You're giving up a first round pick? No. You're giving up a solid.
Hell no.
You're giving up a solid player right now? No.
You got a franchise quarterback right now and
You gotta
two
be
first
kidding
round
me.
picks.
What is this goofiness?
I don't know, but
if you guys are watching the Phillies, it's a goddamn
we can
circus.
switch over. We can switch over.
But all right, let's just do this real quick. Joe, give me your predictions.
Prediction. I'm gonna have to say blowout because that's the way because it's always been.
I don't know. But they.
Actually, you know what? No. I'm gonna. Every time I say my prediction, it's the opposite.
There you go.
So I'm gonna go tight game. I'm gonna go 27-20 Eagles.
Okay, it's not too far off. I had 27-21 because I didn't think they covered the spread. Because if they get the 27, they'll cover the spread.
Sure.
Which is funny, but it is what it is. So yeah, let's switch over real quick here. Phillies. Phillies are right now playing. They are now down 4-1, bottom of the fifth.
There.
And Nola is just imploding in the fifth inning for what it is. But part of it's been some defensive miscues.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them all, but definitely some defensive miscues didn't help either. So I mean, luckily the Brewers keep us in it. But I mean, how does that make you feel, Joe? So like last night we still the number went down, but even though we lost,
went down.
Yeah, because the Brewers, the Brewers are pulling a Phillies. You're keeping a team in the game that shouldn't be.
Brewers and Phillies are both just going to lose out the rest of the season, and the Phillies by default will get in.
And that inning is over.
That time.
But I mean, it's just
what the hell, man.
I don't know what to think. Let's see. Mike's feeling another good 31-20 victory. And yes, I agree. The Phillies are killing themselves, and that's the thing is, Joe. I saw something online. It said, "Are the Phillies?" It was on the TV. Are the Phillies being too complacent and just assuming they're going to go to the postseason at this point?
Well, if that's the case, then they don't deserve to go to the postseason at this point. You can't go in there with the mindset of, all right, we're just gonna cruise this out, knowing that we have a tiebreaker in hand against the Brewers. We have a 1.5 to 2 games, depending on the night, lead on the Brewers. You cannot go in there feeling like it's already set in stone that you're going to make the postseason for the first time in 11 seasons. The fact that you are out there playing this way right now, to me, maybe I should just change my mind and decide maybe you guys don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I mean, how about that? Like, I'm a goddamn diehard bleed pinstripe. Been waiting for this year for the past 10, and here we are. And I'm saying you're not even showing me that you're worthy enough to be in the playoffs right now. Because even if you get there, well, then what's going to happen? Are we just going to be happy that you made it, and then you're going to get swept out, and we're going to say, okay, well, there's always next year. Let's go out and get Trey Turner. No, show us that you deserve to be there, and that you deserve our war cries going into the postseason. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting there expecting you to lose.
Well said. I agree with you. I don't believe that they're complacent. I believe that they're in their heads. Maybe I believe that maybe
are they so close that they're just like they're scared of the moment?
They're tripping at the finish line type situation.
They're scared of the moment.
I mean, like I said, there's always teams that give certain teams fits, and right now, as of last night before this game started, we had an 0-4 record against the Cubs this year.
Mm-hmm.
Against a really bad Cubs team, might I add.
Awful Cubs team.
Runs per game for the Phillies were 2, and runs per game for the Cubs were 6.8.
Unbelievable.
Batting average for the Phillies against the Cubs was 200, and for the Cubs it was 284. So, I mean, those are some staggering numbers against the team, and at this time too. If this was August, whatevs.
Right.
But I mean, look at the runs right there. I mean, he's got 18 in the fifth. This
is ERA by inning, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's just runs allowed per inning by inning. He led 15 up in that, or 18 up compared to the other innings over his starts. I mean, Aaron's a good pitcher, but there was a lot of bad defense behind that, so I'm not gonna put all that on his shoulder. But like you said, like The one thing is maybe I took away from last night, if I was going to try and find any solace in it, was Harper, had 2 good hits last night.
He did.
So,
and Wheeler pitched pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they lost 2-1. It's a very, very winnable game when you have your MVP Harper, who is doing what he needs to be out there doing, and you have your ace in Zach Wheeler being out there doing what he's supposed to be doing. That should get you the W in the ball game. Everybody around has to step up. All we needed was 2 other runs, and they couldn't do it. And it's very frustrating. And it sucks because you always hear every year, oh, well, once September hits, the other shoe's going to drop. And then, of course, me and whoever else is optimistic out there, okay, well, this could be the year that it doesn't. And now I'm sitting here, I'm literally watching it happen in front of my face. And I feel like I'm duped again. It sucks.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, here we go. And the typical thing. And listen, they win this game tonight. We'll have a different story tomorrow.
4-1, they ain't coming back.
I think they come back.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and here's the thing: is you got 4 games against the Nats.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose this game.
Who are beating the Braves right now?
Playing spoiler. I mean, that's the thing is
I took the Braves tonight.
Yeah. Joe, can you start taking the Phillies? I mean the Cubs. That'd be nice. I'll pay you to take the teams. But I mean, that's my thing is I feel like that could happen again. It just seems so unlikely.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they lose tonight, they lose the series, but win tomorrow's game, and then they take 3 or 4 of the Nationals. I mean,
right, and then they have the Astros to but the Astros have already locked it up, and they're probably going to be playing a lot of their second, third stringers. I'm gonna bring up some minor leaguers. Get them.
Are they locked up for first place though?
I'm 95% positive that it's already AL clinched up. So yeah, I don't see them playing, their top players, which of course bodes well for the Phillies. And if you look at it on paper, knowing that that's how the Astros are going to play that series, these last 10 games, even though they're on the road, I honestly think that they should go 6-4, 7-3.
Well, they clinched the division, that's for sure. They're 102 wins, the Astros.
Yeah. I knew you were talking about the Phillies.
And then the Yankees are right behind them with 95 wins. So they still have 8 wins.
That's 7 games in hand. I don't think they'll catch them.
I mean, I don't think
we're also thinking 5 games from now, so it could be it could be already locked
change
up.
even if they take a little off the top right now.
Right.
The odds of them not getting that first round bye are slim to none. So yeah, that might play in our favor, but I don't know. And that's the funny thing is they would play a full Astros and they would beat them 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
But we'll get swept by the Nationals. That's typical Phillies. They play down sometimes. Maybe they're playing a little apprehensive right now because they go, we're playing the Cubs. We'll just get a couple runs against them. We'll play some defense. We'll be good to go.
Well, you would think that the way that they've already played the Cubs this season, they should know that they should be trying to play them harder than anybody. They got swept by them after the All-Star break by 4 games, a 4-game series. They got swept. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to go into this series like, oh, it's just the Cubs. We're going to look forward to who? The Nationals? Well, we're going to look forward to the Nationals? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's does this team need to get its dick kicked in a little bit to
what have we not been doing? That's all we've been getting.
September has not been a strong month. I mean, I think we'll be lucky to be 500 in the month.
Jesus Christ.
At the end of it all. But I don't know. It's a tough call. And like you said, I want to see this team in the postseason more than anything. And I still think they make it as of right now.
I guess if you want to look for a silver lining, if you look back at 2007, it was the beginning of something very, very special. And it was the Phillies getting into the playoffs on the very last day of the season. Mm-hmm. And they went in and they got swept out by Colorado.
Yep.
4 games. They got swept out.
Yep.
And then what happened the next year?
What a depleting moment.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. They got to the dance. They got a little bit of the younger guys got some playoff experience.
Yeah.
The next season they went out. Look what happened. They won the World Series.
Yeah.
Am I saying that's going to happen now? No. But what I am saying is this could be a type of chain reaction like we saw back then, that 4 or 5, year period era, whatever the hell you want to call it, of just phenomenal, fantastic Phillies baseball, some of the best baseball majority of anyone our age has ever seen in our life, especially at that age that we were, where we were able to attend the games
early
and do
20s.
whatever the hell we wanted with them. So if this is the year that they could just get their first time in 11 years, and whatever happens, you win a game but lose a series, okay. God damn it. It has to be the start of something. If they get in and they just fall flat on their face, it has to be the start of something.
We could definitely look for silver linings in these situations. Like you said, getting Harper back in the postseason, getting a feel for that, getting JT Realmuto in there, getting young guys like Stott and then in there. I mean, Gene Segura kind of getting that monkey off his back because it's like he's like the longest tenured running active player who hasn't been in the postseason in any which way.
Isn't that amazing?
It is pretty crazy, and he has to hear this all the time. Like, yes, guys,
he's probably not going to be with the team next season, so this is it.
Most likely, it's hard to say that because he has been such a tried and true guy.
I know.
Brandon Marsh. There's a guy up at bat right now. There's a guy that we would love to see get a little postseason. Nick Castellanos. There's another guy. Schwarber's seen it, but would like to see him again. But there's yes, I hate to say let's look to next season, but yes, there is. Anything comes good out of them going into the postseason.
This roster.
And if they was end today, we would be playing the Cardinals.
Right. Which I think we have a better chance against than the Braves, to be honest with you. I'm okay going in that 3 spot to play the Cardinals. We already won the series this year against the Cardinals. That's besides the point. I forget what I was even going to say.
Yes, Ian, the Union, and I was going to bring this up today. The Union are still on top of the Eastern Conference. And we are entering, guys, I mean, it's September 28th. But the next time we do a show will be in October.
Yes.
Yes, I can do math.
Yes.
And that means we're getting into the most sports moment.
It's the best time of the year.
The epitome of sports at this time of the year. You got the Eagles in the beginning of the second third of the season. The Phillies, hopefully in the postseason. The Flyers starting to kick up if anybody cares about them right now.
They won that preseason game Saturday.
All right, game over. Here comes the cup. And then, of course, the Sixers, which we're all excited about to see how this plays out.
Media day the other day.
Yeah. So, and then, like he said, the Union are still on the run right now. And the Wings, they start too.
That's
so,
right.
So if you're a full 6 for 6 Philly sports guy,
11 for 11 now.
Yeah, right. I think actually somebody posted. I think it was Pat Bernard said the Philadelphia Phoenix are looking for a general manager.
Got it.
I would love
to
see
the disc, right? The Frisbee League.
Frisbee League, yeah.
We got the Philadelphia Stars.
Stars, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, I mean they don't start, of course, to the
Powerhouse City.
But like I said, this becomes from our standpoint. God, we're busy.
Oh my God.
I'm like dreading it a little bit now. Before I'd be like, hockey, basketball, football, baseball, cool.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. And as we are still making more moves here at EOP, by the way, so a lot of new things. We'll get into that later, not tonight, of course. That comes along with all that changes. So it's an interesting time of the year, but I think it would just cherry on top would be a good postseason run. It doesn't have to be even they win the first series. Or they win.
I need a World Series appearance.
Yeah, I would love to listen.
That's what I need in my life right now. I need a World Series.
Oh, Joe, I quit my job at that point. I'm not going anywhere. I'm preparing all day for that.
24/7 sports coverage.
I just don't want to see a walloping in 3 games. In 2, I guess it would be 2 games because it's only 3 games. Yeah. I just wouldn't want to see them get swept out and walloped in 2 games and just be like, man, I got excited all for a sweep. You know what I mean? I just want to see them go in and put up a fight. I definitely would love to see them move to that second divisional round and put up a fight. And hell, Joe, with you, I'll go for a World Series win if you're going to go that far.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, if they went to the World Series this year, I mean, you just saw, I think it was like two games ago, they said they have the same record as the 2008 and 1980 Phillies at that moment in time. I mean, that's the thing is we forget as sports fans. Yes, we remember 08 with the fondest of memories. But at the same time, you've blocked out the moments where you were angry as all get out.
Right.
And it was not an easy get in the postseason and make a run at it. I mean, nothing was easy every game we won, every series we won, it just seemed like it was magic.
You know who they played that first series of the 08 run?
Of the 08 run, yeah, it was the Rockies again.
Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, Brewers, yeah, you're right. The Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers.
Brewers. The Rockies were 07.
Right.
And then they went and played the Dodgers.
They went and played. I think the Dodgers were 09.
No, didn't they play Dodgers both years?
Was it Brewers Dodgers?
Yeah, because
Okay.
because CC was still on the Brewers at that time, and we beat him. And then we played that was Matt Stairs. Was against the Dodgers, and so was
Into the night.
Yeah, and so was the home run with Shane.
The grand slam.
And then we went, of course, to play Tampa Bay in the World Series. Because I think we played them again in 09. I think you're right on that.
Definitely played them again in 09 because I was at the
because we played CC in the World Series.
Well, I remember
he was a Yankee at the time.
Broxton just collapsing
right.
both off seasons to the Phillies.
We owned Broxton. We had real estate in Broxton. I think he still owned it.
Broxton couldn't beat us, so he joined us.
And it couldn't do it there.
And
I think he drives around Philadelphia if he comes in this direction.
Yeah, I mean, and we say it all the time. This roster on paper with just the all-stars, and I'm just, I guess, figuratively all-stars with Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper. I mean, the majority of our run production over the past couple weeks has been the bottom of our lineup. Stott, Vierling, and Vierling's only in there because Castellanos is out and Marsh has been out at times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all these young guys. Of course, Segura gets his hits. Alec Boehm is a singles machine. Like, can this guy even get, more than, a double?
Is it weird that I kind of miss Vierling being there over
Marsh?
No, over Castellanos.
He doesn't play great defense.
No, I mean that's
basically it.
You saw it last night.
Oh my God, he was awful last night.
You just saw how slow he is.
Oh my God, I know. But then again, he did not sign here to be your everyday right fielder. I mean, this is just the predicament he was in. So I don't bash him for his field as much as maybe most people do, or that it should be, just because it's not what he signed up for. Sure. It's probably not what he was promised going into inking the dotted line. You know what I mean? Like, Bryce Harper was supposed to be your everyday, or at least every 2 of 3 games per series right fielder. Injury comes down. Who knows if he'll even come back from that for next season? He might just be a career DH at this point. And you still have Castellanos for another 3 years after this because he inked, a 4-year deal?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to get – if they get to the playoffs, it has to be different. The run production has to come from – Hoskins. I keep forgetting about Hoskins. Like,
I don't think he's a Philly next year.
He probably isn't. But you have to get your vets, these quote-unquote figurative all-stars, get these guys going. Like, it's awesome to see these young guys, really contribute and help the team, win some ball games. But you need – the big ticket, high dollar talent to actually show up, show out, and play well. I mean, it's unbelievable what has happened over the past month. And that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you get into the playoffs, if this is the product we're seeing getting into the playoffs, number one, do you even deserve to be there? Number two, what should we expect? A sweep, a 1-game win out of the series? Like, it's a head scratcher right now. I want to see him in there. But look at this, 4-1 to the Cubs, who they haven't won a game against the whole season. Like what the hell's going on here? What is going on here? It's a typical Philly fashion that they play down to these inferior teams.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is this just the nature of this beast? When you have teams who are just completely out of it, who are playing with house money to play spoiler. I mean, like you just said, the Braves are right now losing to the Nats. Mm-hmm. Is it just these guys playing up above and the pressure of hitting that postseason mark? Is upon. I mean, I don't even know. The Braves are almost probably locked up at this point.
They should be, yeah.
They
should definitely be locked up.
I mean, as a wild card, I don't know. Let me just go to the standings here. National League. Yeah. They're tied.
That's a white beard. Goddamn.
Who, me?
No, me.
Oh, I was gonna say me. I've always have. I've given up on trying about that. Actually, they
Jesus Christ, I'm going gray.
The Braves are in first place.
Are they?
Well, tied for first place.
Okay.
They're 97-58, and so are the Mets.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
Holy shit. So if even somehow the Phillies get into that second spot, we could play the Mets.
And it has them both as clinched wild card they both clinched the wild card
Jesus
position.
Christ.
They just can't clinch. Nobody's clinched the.
Yes, I'm going
division.
forward and saying I'm comfortable in the third spot. I don't want to play the Braves or the Mets in the first round. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
God damn.
I would rather see the Mets than the Braves. Is that weird?
No, because I would too.
And I think it's because just that team would smell themselves. I think more than the Braves. The Braves just always have that
Mets
magic.
got a good squad. As much as we keep saying like, oh, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop, like we are, with every team.
Mhm.
I think the Mets are really good, and they might really put something together this postseason, which sucks. But I mean, what am I going to do? Sit here and say the Mets suck still?
No, I mean it's just like we were saying about earlier about we were talking about in our chat where somebody was unwilling to admit that the Eagles are a good team right now.
Yeah.
We got to admit the Braves are a good team right now. They got a good squad. They've held their head.
They won the damn World Series last year.
The Mets?
No, the Braves.
Oh, the Braves. I'm talking about the Mets in this
You
situation.
said Braves.
I'm sorry. But I mean, coming to the playoffs, that clean slate they could
Absolutely.
they could fall apart. I don't know. Any team could fall apart in that situation. But ultimately, the Braves, the Mets, they had 10 games on top of the Braves at one point.
Braves Nationals are tied.
Braves Nationals are tied.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's my point. It's like it's just I think this is fall baseball getting into the postseason. Yes, Mike. Wings training camp starts in October. Mike is part of the all lacrosse team, and actually we will have them on probably in the coming weeks to talk. Give us a little Wings preview. Call in and go over that. But I talked to Gary about doing something like that.
Cool.
But it should be interesting. But I'm still excited for this team, even though right now they are not playing well. Like I said, I really, outside of a total implosion, I really think they get in the postseason. Now, if they don't get in the postseason, I may lose my mind. I mean, that's just a fact. I want them to know my mental stability lies on them getting in the playoffs right now.
I don't even want to live in a world where there's a possibility the Phillies still don't make the playoffs this year.
There's no clinch, Joe.
I know.
There's no clinch next to our name. So, yeah, no, I mean.
They got to win tonight. Brewers got to lose. Drop that game down. That magic number to 5. Huh?
What's that at again?
I think the Brewers are up 1-0.
Still up? Let me see. I'll tell you right now. Brew squad. And I don't understand them either. Like, they just seem like they don't want to be in it. Yeah, they're still up 1-0 bottom of the 6th.
Nobody seems like they want to be in it.
Yeah, right. No, but it's been all year long with them. Like right now, like I said, I get it. They're in their brains. They're trying. You got spoiler teams trying to just beat them. Trying to make if you're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging.
Right.
But
they had such an opportunity.
They traded away one of the best closers in baseball to the Padres, who are right in front of us.
Yeah.
So
I think they're in the middle of a big series right now too.
And my thing
is, playing the Dodgers, maybe.
And my thing is, like, if they traded them to somebody in the AL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they traded for another good. If they traded for somebody another good player in the NL that wasn't in front of them in the playoff push, it'd make a little sense. But that to me, that was like. You're telling me you don't want. I mean, unless there was just something with Hader that they weren't getting along and they wanted the contract disputes, and they were just like, let's get something for this Joker because he's not going to be here next
year.
They
did trade him, I don't know where they were in their record or the standings or anything. So there's a possibility they were kind of conceding and saying, all right, let's get something for this guy before we can get nothing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started playing better ball and getting, climbing up the standings and getting into the position where they are now. Maybe they're kind of kicking themselves right now, saying, that maybe that wasn't the best idea.
No,
especially to the team who's above them in the wild card race.
Let's talk about the good team right now in South Philly. Let's talk about the Eagles. And this Sunday, we got your pre, your post, and even your halftime game. But that halftime call will be from Freddie from remotely, but the rest of it will be at the South House 2535 South 13th Street, Philadelphia, right in South Philly there. If you're going from the stadium, it's literally minutes away.
Get them wangs.
The cheesesteak, by the way.
Cheesesteak wings, all of it. So delicious. Love it all.
Yeah, and remember what I told you guys. Ant's got some great specials for you, including buckets of beer, pitchers of beer. Buckets are $15 Bud Light buckets and $10 pitchers. Joe, give me a straw and $10. I got this covered.
Oh, no doubt.
But we were covering the game pre and post. We'll be there early. We'll be there the whole game. You can come by, check us out, talk to us. We'll be there watching the game along with you, as well as getting your reactions after the game. So come on down, and don't forget, if you're not going to be in that area, but you're going to be in Delco, Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue. Great food, great time, and I believe, like I said, Hollis Thomas will
Yes, he
be
will.
in the house that day, and so will Wolf Superior Sandwiches. Get yourself a gritty and hang out with Tank. Maybe buy Tank a cheesesteak. You enjoy that. If you're going to be down at the game and you need a little tailgate to go to, Gatehouse is the place to go. Every home game, they got one at the Gatehouse at the Navy Yard. That even covers the food, the drink, everything, and even covers your parking. So for yourself, it's worth it. It's worth the trip. Literally, phillysportstrips.com. And all these great away games are available. I think maybe Arizona is coming to a full closure. I think they may only have some flights left if you need some. I think I read that on the website. I'll have to check it out if I'm double sure on that. But they also have other great trips. They have a Nashville trip coming up, a Union trip coming up. I think to Carolina or something. I forget where it is exactly. And spring training for Phillies fans is already on the books there. So check it out, phillysportstrips.com. And if you get, God forbid, but hopefully if you ever get hurt at work, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, and you need somebody to fight for your rights, Joe, you call David R. Cherry, 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com. The number again is 610-565-0300. And once again, a big old congratulations to our boy Shane Half, who has been working with us, who is going to also be working with BLG over at Bleeding Green Nation. Joe, anything else you want to add before we head on out?
Yeah, one more thing, or actually two more things. But first off, again, big kudos to Vince Rizzuto and his team over there at Philly Sports Trips. Not only did we have this phenomenal, experience in Washington D.C. at FedEx Field, Vince is in Chicago right now at the Phillies game with Philly Sports Trip. This guy, I don't know how the hell he has a newborn. I don't know how the hell he's gotten away with this. But Vince, I mean, like, he's putting this stuff together, and he is in the forefront. He is going, and he is having these experiences with all of you guys. So Vince, just bang up job as usual.
And we didn't mention how great it was. We also forgot to mention that how it went off without a hitch.
Yes.
I mean, like, listen, I don't know the behind the scenes stuff.
Sure.
If there was some hiccup somewhere, but as a person who was there, everything was just so smooth.
Yes, it was.
Like I said, didn't wait in line for anything. Got a drink right away. Got my food right away. Hung out with everybody. Got right in with your tickets came to your phone. You had that the night before. There was breakfast sandwiches on the bus with some drinks. On the way home, they gave you this cool little snack pack and more drinks. It just, everything seems so smooth. And for 1,200 people, kudos to him on that. And the whole Philly Sports Trips crew, Bob over at Cabs Catering. God, you guys are friggin' awesome. I just gotta say that,
dude. Vince was running around doing everything. I saw him. I didn't even want to bother him.
Yeah.
And then and like we locked eyes. We saw each other. Then we came out. We hugged each other. And I was like, Vince, you effing pulled it off. I can't believe it. You pulled this off. Congratulations. And he was he was very thankful in what I was saying to him. And then he went off and he went on his merry way. And he was involved with everything. Didn't see him again until after the game in the stands. And we talked a little bit there too. But I mean, this guy was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then he finally took a moment to enjoy it. He had a cigar. It looked like he had a little glass of whiskey. And he sat back and he looked at his labor of love and just watching everybody just have such a great time and knowing that he put that together for us, not only us as a company, but us as Eagles fans. And being able to go to, and by the way, the seats were phenomenal.
Oh yeah, great seats.
We were 20 rows off the field, and we had aisle seats, and it was just remarkable.
I'm not sounding like like ours is better than yours, but I saw the seats where other people were standing were way above where we were at.
Yeah,
and the price was about the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that goes to show you the kind of things that you get. And like I said, even if you go away on these trips, like the Arizona trip, you can add additional golfing outing.
I think Seth Joyner is
Seth Joyner's going to be involved
too.
with it. There's just a lot of things that they do. If you go to the Indy game, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you can add on and go to the Notre Dame game on Saturday and go to the Eagles Indy game. So I mean, it's just a total. That's why I keep telling you guys the experience. And when we get to go there, he continues to blow our mind.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. Is like if and in my
I
eyes,
couldn't believe all the details of what was going on.
In my eyes, if you continue to blow my mind, knowing because you can say it goes, oh yeah, he's your sponsor. Of course, you're going to talk about it like that. I don't have to. I can just be like,
even if he wasn't our sponsor, I think we would still be talking about these trips.
We'd still be using them. We'd still be using them.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say they are better than the other sports, the Philly sports groups out there. Philly Sports Trips is they reign supreme on all of these other guys. I don't even care if they're listening. I don't care if they hear this.
Yeah.
Philly Sports Trips is better than you guys.
Yeah. And the thing is they strive to be better. It's not just like, oh, you're better than us. No, they strive to be better. And every time it's just, like I said, I've been on how many trips by now?
Yeah.
And each one is better than the next. It's not, at one point,
the attention to detail.
He could dial it in and be like, oh. Like, this is how cool he was. So every bus had a bus monitor or whatever the hell you want to call it. He was even cool. He sent us all emails inviting us down to the tailgate for the Sunday's game for free, just to thank us. He already thanked us enough, and he continues to thank us. He's just a very grateful guy, and that's what makes him great. And PhillySportsTrips.com, check him out. So other than that, I'm Big Al.
I got one more.
Okay, gotcha.
Not only did the Flyers win the big preseason game Saturday night against the Bruins,
chills, dude,
but they also got another big win, and that is John Tortorella voted the number 9 most handsome NHL coach in the league. So congratulations, Torts. Number 9, most handsome in the league. Another big score for the Fly Guys. And I'm Joey Sharon, and I'm out.
And he is out.